Welcome everybody, my name is Aiden Best here, Best Music Reviews, and it is time for the best albums of the year list. Alright, it's time. It's that time now. It's been a whole year, probably, since I've listened to music, which has been I don't know, since like 2018 is when I really started getting into music. So since that time, this is by far and away the best year of music I've ever gotten since I've been really listening. 2018 was really good too. But this has been just a wild ride of a year with just incredibly strong projects all across the board. So there's so many albums I listened to this year. It was lots of them were forgettable, but there were also an insane amount of really, really great projects. And it took a lot out of me to pick the top 10. It was hard to choose those, but these 10s, you might not agree. I don't care. It's my list, so deal with it. But yeah, these were my favorite ones. But before we get to that, I have 5 honorable mentions. Anything that is not on the honorable mentions or in the top 10, I would not say is a great album or I haven't heard it. But yeah, anything that's not on this list, I don't consider great. I consider it very good, some. But everything great and above is an honorable mention or in the top 5. So let's get started off with the first honorable mention. I have Denzel Curry's King of the Mighty South Volume 2. It's a great project. I really enjoyed it. I didn't really replay it all too much, but it had some really good moments on there. My favorite by far and away was Ultra Shit. That was a great song. Great song. And I really liked Hot One. The singles were really good. It's just full of bangers back to back to back. I did hear the deluxe. Honestly, other than Hard in the Paint or In the Paint, I kind of prefer the original. So that's the only song I think was worth to be added. But yeah, honorable mention, great album. Not in my top 10. I'd probably put it around 15 if I were to list the honorable mentions ranking them, but I'm not. But yeah, I did like it. It's a very good album. Next, got Logic's Ultra 85. This was shockingly good for Logic. It's been quite a while since I've really enjoyed all the way through of one of his projects. I've liked songs here and there from his stuff. There was a couple songs from College Park I enjoyed. But this is the first time that I think that he had a full album that I was like, oh, like cohesive story there, entertaining from front to back. All the songs had really good depth. It was really long, but I thought it did really good. It was the first one since Under Pressure that I felt that. Maybe No Pressure, but I would say more since his debut. So yeah, I thought it was a great album. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it a lot when it came out. I haven't listened to it for a minute, all the way through, but I still come back to songs, especially Paul Rodriguez, quite a bit. So yeah, I thought that was a really impressive project. Great album by him. Shocked everybody, I think. Nobody expected it to be that good. So he did a great job there. Next, I have Rich As Haitian by Mac Homie. This is the first Mac Homie album I had ever listened to. It was great. Great album. Fantastic. Songs like the title track Rich As Haitian, Songe, I don't remember. Copy Cold, Sur Le Pont d'Avion, just song those were some of my highest played songs of the year. Really enjoyed those songs. Yeah, it's full of just incredibly good. He is one of the greatest out there. And this album really showcases that. I think he did a phenomenal job with the album. It was super interesting to listen to and lyrically deep. It was fantastic. Next, I have Bravado Intimo by IDK. A huge shocker to me, even though I'm an IDK fan, pretty big fan. I really did not expect something great out of it based on the kind of random release of singles throughout the year. And his last album, F65, I think, yeah, F65, being a mess. Just a mess. It was not good, really, to me in any way. I didn't enjoy it at all. But yeah, this album shocked me with how good it was. It was cohesive or not really cohesive, but like it had a vibe to it and it stuck with it throughout the whole thing. It's very short and sweet, gets right to the point immediately. Yeah, it just beautiful production, incredibly well mixed. It's I don't know how to explain it. Just sounds like everything works together very well. Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, I have a reaction up for it. Go check it out. I seriously was just like I did not expect this to be good at all, and it was great. So I was really impressed by that. And finally, controversial, unhonorable mentions. So I do think this is a great album. Samurai by Lupe Fiasco. I know a lot of people are putting this at number one. Lots of people are also putting this in the top fives and lots of number ones, top threes. I really like this album. It took me a long time to get into it. Like a long time. Samurai, the song, is one of my favorite songs of the year, by far and away. But the full album, it took me a minute to like fully understand it and get into it. I mean, I saw him on tour through the tour, and that was a great experience. Incredible performer. I have a signed vinyl of the album now. I become a pretty big fan, and once this album clicks, like it clicks big time. It's a phenomenal album. And as with all Lupe albums, I'm still digesting the lyrics. So that is my honorable mentions. Kind of ranked. That's basically what I would rank them if I were to. Now onto the top 10. The Swamp Princess herself, Doechie's mixtape, Alligator Bites Never Heal. Coming at number 10. Wow. This is what I have been wanting from Doechii for the past like 2-3 years. Like I just been waiting for her to finally step up and do something, and I mean this it was made in a month, she said, and it's one of the best albums to release all year. Like come on, man, like songs like Denial's a River, Catfish, Bullfrog, Nissan Altima is my favorite songs of the year. Like it's just full of hits. It's just full of just banger, and it goes into the R&B cuts. Like it's just all over the place. It showcases her potential so much, and that it's there, and she's finally using it. And that debut album is gonna be crazy. I'm hearing rumors that's gonna come out early next year. Next at number 9, I have "Hit Me Hard and Soft" by Billie Eilish. Year ago, never would have expected that. I had never even listened to a Billie Eilish album. I didn't like Billie Eilish, but after listening to Brat, it kind of got me more into that kind of pop scheme. And her verse on Guess was not bad. I like Guess. That's a pretty good song. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And yeah, it was phenomenal. I think I teared up on one of the songs. L'amour de ma vie is absolutely beautiful, an incredible song. I think it's amazing. The Greatest is like breathtaking. Lots of breathtaking moments. I think that's that's like the best word for this album. Breathtaking. I mean, it's an incredible project. Birds of a Feather has grown on me a lot since that reaction. I kind of hated on it in the reaction. It's a great song. Like, I know that's like, it's one of the worst on the album. It's still really good. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful. Incredible project. I really enjoyed it. So next at number 8, though technically it did not originally released this year, it felt to me very different than the original one. So at number 8, I have Atavista by Childish Gambino. Now, if you've been following me on the channel for a little bit, if you know me, I mean, I'm like a big Childish Gambino fan. He's like my favorite. He is my favorite artist. I love his music. And this is the start for the rollout for Bando Stone: The New World, which, spoiler alert right here, is not on the list. Not on the list at all. It took me a minute. You know, I've become accustomed to all those songs with 3:15:20, but then hearing the new versions, you know, it felt weird. But going on more and more, I was like, oh, you know, it's starting to get better. Time got much better. Actually, I really used to love Time, and I hated the new version when it came out, but I really started to like it. I really like the new version of Salasbe. Having Human Sacrifice in there is awesome. That's a great song. Final Church is still amazing. I mean, but all that to say, None of that compares to how good To Be Hunted is now. Like 1910 was one of the best songs on 31520. That intro they did now, where like the synths come in, I call it an inverted intro because the synths come in first, and it's like, oh okay, oh we're here, and then the bass hits, and like it feels like you're like getting like sucked out of something, and then like thrown back in. It is the coolest thing. I think it's an absolutely incredible song. Also, it was one of my highest on my Spotify Wrapped. Like I love that song so much, and it's so good. Yeah, so I think that's an incredible album. Highly underrated. Lots of people just kind of hated on it for a while and just kind of threw it off. I think it blends everything that he does so well. Yeah, I think it's an incredible project. Love it. On to number 7. Earlier in the year, this would have been like number 2. And everything but one album on here came out after this. And this will be Dark Times by Vince Staples. Yeah, this is an absolutely incredible project. Surprise project. Kind of. He like announced it and then a week later it released. I really didn't think he was going to release this whenever the Vince Staples show came out. I thought he was just thought it was going to be a long time until we heard music from him. I've heard rumors that this is like a Throwaways album. And if it is, then that further proves that I think he is one of the greatest to ever do it. Or of his generation, at least. Yeah, of his generation. Because, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely insanely good project of Throwaways. Every single song is amazing. Especially Little Homies, which is like my anthem, was my anthem for the year, and probably will still be my anthem for the rest of the 2020s, or at least the next 4 years. Yeah, I just, it's amazing. It's got that super dark atmosphere, but it's one of the most hopeful albums I've heard all year. And it's a great album to play when you're down. Like, it really is. Because it doesn't really keep you there. You know, if you want sad music, you get sad music, but by the end of it, you'll be feeling ready to be happy again. Like, it does that job so well. It's a beautiful project. All right, at number 6, told me this in April, would have laughed in your face that it would be at number 6 instead of number 1. That's how good this year got. This guy has run my year. This will be in another video where I talk about what I've been listening to this year, not just stuff from 2024. This guy has just completely ran my year, and that will be Schoolboy Q with Blue Lips. Worth the wait all the way. I got into Schoolboy Q this year. I got into him like right as that trailer came out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna try out Schoolboy Q. You know, I'm gonna test it out. Listen to Blank Face. Immediate fan. One of my favorites of all time. And this album did not disappoint at all. Off first listen, though, it did. I did not get it off first listen. Or like first couple listens. I was like, what? I waited a month for this? What, maybe 5th, 6th listen? It wasn't like it kind of like generally I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm starting to get into it a little bit more. It was just like, oh, this sucks. Oh, this is the greatest album of the year so far. Like, it just clicked like that. Boom. Amazing project. I mean, like, before any sort of sports event I went to this year, I would always be playing Pop and Thank God for Me. Pig Feet 2. Blue Slides. It's just a incredibly emotional and impressive display of his lyricism there. And then other songs like Lost Times is amazing. Germany 86. Foo. So many others. Like I could list every single song on the album if I wanted to. Like it's a phenomenal project. It really goes to show how good the rest of the year is that ended up at number 6. So yeah, everything from here on was released after May. So really June and on. So over halfway through the year. The second half of this year was stacked. All right, so at number 5, Charlie XCX Brat, another album I would have laughed in your face if you told me it was not going to be number 1. Because I didn't expect any of the artists after this to release this year. So yeah, it worth the wait and worth the build up and everything. I don't want anyone coming at me. This is a phenomenal album. This is the best pop album of the year. Mainstream. mainstream pop album of the year. Um, like it was a cultural phenomenon, and I was there night one. I like watch my reaction. It was like my biggest reaction for a long time until Sao Paulo released. Like it was I was there night one, and it was a moment. Like I was not ready for how much club influence this album was gonna have. I didn't really listen to the singles that much, except for like 360. And yeah, like it's one of the most memorable albums of 2024. Not only because of the iconicness of it now, and that green and black text. I mean that's everywhere now. But the music itself the music spoke for itself. It didn't like the songs itself didn't number one on charts, but the it was great. Like collectively, I saw lots of people around the world being like, "This is amazing," and it is. Fantano gave it a 10. Like he gave a pop album a 10. It's crazy, and deserved. I almost gave it a 10 off first listen. Yeah, I didn't think anything was gonna beat this. I thought it was absolutely amazing. 365 is one of my favorites of the year. Talk, like just also ruled my summer. So yeah, I loved it. Amazing. On to number 4, G and X by Kendrick Lamar. Another album I did not expect to drop. Actually, I can't keep on saying that like they're not all albums I didn't expect to drop this year. Yeah, this off first listen I was like, this might be the worst Kendrick Lamar album, and it's still great. A week or two later, I decided that this might be Kendrick's like 3rd best album, or maybe 4th best. I don't know. Okay, I can't say it's better than Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly. But it is one of his better albums of his catalog, which by better means very, very, very close to a 10. And if I say like one of his worst albums on his catalog, it means like a low 9. So it's like, it's insanely good. It's so just replayable. The songs are just like energetic, but mixed with those absolutely incredible tracks like Reincarnated and The Heart Part 6. The lyrical tracks, like it's just got that West Coastness to it, and it works. It works so well. It takes a couple listens, but man, it's just beautiful. It's an incredible project. All right, number 3, I have JPEG Mafia. I Lay Down My Life for You. Another one I thought was number 1 for a long time, until other albums started to release. Yeah, this album shocked me. The night Don't Rely on Other Men. The night Don't Rely on Other Men came out, I played that song to death. And I played for the next day. And the next day. And the day after that, I said, I don't ever want to hear the song again. The song's actually not that good. No, the original mix of Don't Rely on Other Men kind of sucks. And you just can't understand a word that's being said. And I kind of lost interest in the project. I was like, oh, well, okay, that's cool. He's going for the rockness. I'll still listen to it, but I'm not loving this. And what's funny is I filmed a like top songs of the year in July, like midway through the year. And I didn't get to finish editing it because Sin Miedo came out the next day. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just do a reaction to this real quick. There are like audio issues in the video, but that's one of my favorite videos ever because I was just in awe the entire time, and that's absolutely one of the best songs of the year. That turned all my excitement around. From being not excited at all, it was I could have known Chromacopia was dropping, GNX was dropping, all these albums were dropping. Still would have been the most excited for JPEG Mafias. That song is one of the most impressive songs I've heard in years. Like, years. It's not the most impressive song of the year, but it's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, just the mix in the last 15 seconds is, he would have made a full song of that, get Charlie XCX or something on it. That's number 1. That's the number 1. But yeah, no, it didn't disappoint at all. The grungeness and all the rock in the first half is so cool to listen to, and it's super hard. And it becomes the most depressing album of the year in the second half. Or maybe not of the year, but I've heard in a minute. like those strings start kicking in, and that's where I think it gets really impressive because the rock stuff, the grunge fits in with JPEG Mafia, his type of production, but the strings. So the rock felt like, okay, it's something he hasn't done before, but yeah, it makes sense. He would try that. The strings didn't. That always felt like something he was like, I'm not interested in that. So him slowing it down, getting more vulnerable in his lyrics, and really going in for that and making stuff like Loop It and Leave It, Either On or Off the Drugs, I Recover This, and Don't Play Anything on the... I mean, the last 4 songs are beautiful. They're beautiful. And they just switch up completely from anything else on the album. So yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And it phases into it so smooth. That second half of JPEG Ultra, man, like it does it so well. Ex-Military is also one of my favorites. Whenever he does that, like it starts whenever it breaks down, it starts yelling. Every time I'm in the car, I just scream that part. It's so much fun. Yeah, no, I think it's an amazing project. I really enjoy it. All right, so that's number 3. At number 2. Middle school, freshman, sophomore year, like younger high school me would be like heartbroken that this isn't number 1. But that's because a certain album dropped that is like absolutely one of the greatest albums I would argue of all time I've ever heard. But it is not this one. But at number 2, I have Chromacopia by Tyler, the Creator. This is Tyler's best album. And that's not recency bias. Like I love Igor just as much as the other guy does. Igor's amazing. This to me really like let you know who he is. I mean, he's been very open about himself for a long time. I mean, he's a very public man, but there are definitely certain things in his life that he kept very private that he put on full display here. I mean, songs like "Hey Jane," like that's something I never thought I'd hear Tyler talk about. And Like Him, I think is definitely the best song on the album. Not his best song. I would say his second best, right behind New Magic Wand. That's just New Magic Wand is just personal like favorite song of all time of mine. But Like Him, I think just shows how much he's matured. This really showed like, I'm 30. I'm over 30. I got to settle down soon, or do I settle down soon? What do I do? And Like Him, the whole thing asking does he look like his dad, and then finding out that it was kind of his mom's fault that his dad went away. I mean, that's just one of the most emotional songs of the year, easily. I'm so glad it's getting as big as it is, because I really did not expect that when it released. But it's another album that does that great mix of between bangers that is just like super high energy and really deep cuts that are still super entertaining, but more on the emotional side. And yeah, I think it's incredible. I love what he did, especially, I need to point this out. The sequencing on it is absolutely incredible. Cause I have the vinyl, and going from Like Him to I Hope You Find a Way Home and then ending it, that takes a lot out of you. That's a really emotional last like 10 minutes of the album. So Balloon, I think, is the essential track in this album. It doesn't work as well as it does without Balloon, because it's just fun. It's just fun. And Doechii has a great verse on it too. I'm always happy for more Doechii. But it's just a fun album, or just a fun song that alleviates all that tension that was built up in Like Him, and then continues on into I Hope You Find Your Way Home. It makes you feel like, oh, that was a very sweet ending, instead of with I Hope You Find Your Way Home. Instead of hearing I Hope You Find Your Way Home after Like Him, be like, or tearing up, like it's very hard to end it with those two songs that balloon. So I think the sequencing really does, and not enough people have talked about that. And that's what really, that's a make or break for that album right there, I think. So, okay, it's time. It's time to get to it. Number one. It actually just came in on vinyl yesterday. This album, I saw on Album of the Year, and I was like, an 89? Are you kidding me? That's insane. I'm not listening to that. like I just saw it as like, oh, that's gotta be some prestigious ass album. Like, I don't want to check that out. No, it's not rap. I've been into pop music quite a bit this year, but I don't know, the cover, I just saw it all as super uber prestigious. I was not interested at all. And I tried out the first song. And I tried out just kind of in the back. I was like, ew, no, no. So one night I finally was just like, you know what? Everybody's saying this album of the year. Just going to sit myself down and play it. And my life has not been the same since. This is a life-changing album. I wouldn't even argue. I would state. This is a life-changing album. Magdalena Bay Imaginal Disc. Nothing has come close. There was a moment when Chromacopia dropped because I listened to this about a month before Chromacopia. And I was like, oh, shoot. Chromacopia might be better than this. Might be better than that. I was really into Chromacopia. That was pure recency bias. Because songs like Image and The Ballad of Matt and Mika and Killing Time and Vampire in the Corner and Tunnel Vision and Angel on a Satellite and Love is Everywhere and Watching TV and every other song on the album except for the interludes. That's My Floor. Like, everything makes it very obvious. No, this is not. There's nothing that's touching this. Every song on here is a 10. Every single one. Except for the interludes. Even though I would give True Blue interlude a 10. Feeling Disconcerted is just a 40-second intro. But True Blue interlude, like, that's a whole vibe right there. But notice I didn't say one song specifically on there. Because, and there was one song I did say. Because, spoiler for the top songs of the year, there's nothing that has come out in this decade that has compared to, I would argue, in the whole past decade, that is compared to Death and Romance. Like, 4 listens of that song. And I added it to my top 50 songs of all time playlist. That isn't even complete. It's not even a completed playlist. And I still agree with that. That's one of the greatest songs ever recorded. Like, those chords come in, and I immediately get shivers. I've listened to this album probably close to 60 times since September. I listened to it a month late. I've listened to that song probably even more. That song is not just, like, cracking or anything. Because I don't want to just, try to throw away the effort that was put into that. Matt and Mika and Magdalena Bay as a whole created, like, the masterpiece. The masterpiece. There were a ton of masterpieces this year. Tons. Songs, albums, all sorts of stuff. This is what will, to me, define 2024. Brat was like the iconic, what like mainstream is going to look back and see like that was 2024. I feel like anyone that really listens to music, I've been seeing basically everyone that listens to more than just like hip hop or really just one genre collectively agrees like there's nothing that's come close to this. The only album I could say that it might not be better than this decade is Offline, which to decide that I'm giving it more time, because if it's better than Offline, it's in my top 3 albums of all time. So I gotta give it time, a little more time. It's only been a couple months, but it really feels like it. This is the only 10 to drop this year. Everything else is, I really say, from Ada Vista on in the 9s for me in this list, and with GNX up mid to high 9s. The top 4 are all like 4 through 2 all really high nines. Yeah, it's albums like these that I think are great ways to bring people into the music scene and just branch out. And one of those I will go down to history books as kind of like a staple in music. So that's my top 10 albums of the year. What do you think? Let me know your top 10 albums because I'd love to hear them. I love debating about this, talk about it. Maybe not even debating, just listening. And yeah, because it's just been the absolute like incredible year of music. I mean, I've said this before. It feels like all of the people I've been getting into has led up to this moment, to this year, which has been pretty cool. And I'll explain more on that in my what I've been listening to this year video. But yeah, this has been a really great year of music. Absolutely amazing projects with Imaginal Disc being like the like holy grail of the year. So yeah, I appreciate you watching the video. Subscribe if you like the content. We got tons of end of the year videos coming out, so be sure to check out for that. Anything else? No, I think that's it. Like the video if you like the video, and I'll see y'all next time for more end of the year stuff.